Welcome, welcome. It's the Salty Hose coming at you from behind the Zion curtain. This is Claire.
Hi, this is Mel.
And we're so excited to be back with you to share the weird and wonderful things of the real lives of ex-Mormon ex-wives. So thank you for taking a minute to listen to us today.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited to be here.
So this week, we're going to delve into my story of how I left Mormonism. You've already heard Mel's. So we're going to...
And if you haven't, go back and listen.
Yeah, that's your homework.
It could be after this episode, when you get to it.
Or press pause, go back, so you can do the chronology. But we're going to talk about that today. But before we jump into that, how was your week? Anything exciting?
Yeah, my week was pretty good, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a date last night.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And who is this? First date? Second date?
This is a second date.
Ooh.
I know.
What a
And
unicorn.
I think there might be a third date.
Wow.
Actually, I think there will be a third date.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
know.
Well, stay tuned.
Yes.
We'll hear more about the possible third date saga. This is good news.
It is good news.
A third date? I don't even remember the last time I had a third date.
Well, I don't want to jinx it because we've had two so far.
Well,
but
knock
they
on
both
wood.
went really well.
Yeah.
Great conversation.
Wow.
They both lasted quite a long time, several hours.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because we just couldn't stop talking to each other. It was
Slam.
kind of lovely.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Okay, hope.
Yeah,
Hope for
hope.
the listeners.
Hope.
There is hope.
Okay, so we'll put a pin in that.
We love a wee dash of hope.
Indeed.
This is good.
How was your week?
It was good. I feel like I really humaned, adulted.
I love that.
I feel like I did stuff, multifaceted stuff. I did try to flirt this week.
Ooh,
Yes.
Look at you.
Look at me. I did try to flirt. I'm currently not on apps looking, but I sort of reconnected with a person I haven't texted in over a year.
Oh, wow.
But that is its whole other story too. So we'll put a pin in that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like we need to dig deeper.
There's definitely a lot to that, but I mean, no meeting in person, because God forbid that you would ever actually do that. But I mean, clearly
that's
it happens.
wild. Well, it happened to me.
It happened to you.
Crazy.
It happened to you. So
Yes.
I also went to an interesting party. I may actually be slightly hungover this morning. Although I do think there's a little migraine starting.
No
or
judgment.
migraine. See, in Ireland they say migraine. But it's all mixed up. I don't know what's from where anymore. So a wee migraine.
Slash hangover, maybe.
Slash possible hangover.
We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big drinker.
I know.
I'm actually quite a lightweight, which isn't true to my Irish heritage, which people always point out. But I had 3 whole drinks last night.
Oh my.
And I feel trashed.
Wild woman.
A wild woman. 3 gins. They were beautiful gins, but
Wonderful. Were you at home or were you out somewhere? What was the situation?
so I went to a party with an interesting name. So it's at Squatters, which is a great Salt Lake original.
Squatters. I love Squatters.
Yep. So for our people that are not from Salt Lake City, Squatters Pub, it's great. Their own brews, really good food.
Yeah, really solid and at a great price point too.
And this is not an ad, by the way.
Yeah, they don't pay us. Squatters, if you're listening, you should pay us.
You totally should bring us to dinner. But I had no plan to mention Squatters, but it just came out.
There you go.
So, but yeah, I walked in and she said, oh, how many for your table? And I said, oh, I'm actually here for a private event. So I was the date of a wee Irish friend I actually have living here. So I was her date for the night. And she looked at me and she said, infectious disease. And I was like, no. And then I was like, oh, yes. So that was the name of my event. And
hilarious.
I walked up the stairs and the wee board said infectious diseases. And I was like, maybe could they have called it a different thing? I don't know. So, but I guess nobody would crash it because they maybe thought we were like a gathering of people with infectious disease.
As a biologist, I love that name.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
It would be like a good punk band.
Yes.
Like infectious diseases.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but it was actually, doctors and great researchers who study infectious disease.
Wonderful.
But it did look like a potential gathering of people with infectious diseases. So that just tickled me a little bit. I was like, wow, this is like a fun party to be at. So
it sounds really fun.
it was good times. It was good times. So yeah, I did 2 whole things this week.
Wow.
Flirted and went out of my house. So
I'm proud of you.
thank you. Me too.
Well, shall we dive in?
Let's dive in, my friend.
Okay, so Claire's story. We're going Mormon stories on you again. Hat tip to Mr. John DeLynn and all the good work he's done. I will try to summon even a fraction of his interviewing skills here. All right, so Claire.
I think you're better personally. No shade to him, but
thank you.
I
You're
have
so
some
sweet.
feelings there, but yeah.
He's got a lot of experience, and I
Yes.
will admit I've only listened to a few episodes, to be
Yeah.
honest. But in our very first episode, our introductory episode, you talked just a little bit about your Mormon background. So we want to dive in a little bit more. So you mentioned that your mother had converted to the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, before you were born, right?
Yes, she was like 17, so she was really just a wee teenager.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But then she kind of wasn't so active and then rekindled her love affair with the Mormon Church at some point. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so she stepped away for a moment. She moved to London with my dad. My dad does not believe in any organized religion. Well, that's too strong a word. I was going to say he has contempt equally across the board, but he really doesn't. He just doesn't care for it.
Okay, so he never had a phase of being
No.
Mormon. Did he ever go to church with you?
No.
Okay.
He just was like, cool, you do your thing. That's great. But, I'm not a believer. In fact, because I am the person of 500 stories shooting off of my brain from any one sentence in my head. But I think it's worth sharing. When they were dating, the missionaries were, always trying to, get my dad to
Right.
take the discussions, all that kind of
Become
stuff.
a worthy priesthood holder.
Exactly, for this poor fragile woman. There's nothing fragile about my mother, but just that idea. And so my dad was a military guy, and he was a young guy in the military. He was off in Germany living on a base there for the British Army, and they were trained in different techniques, including being captured and interrogated, or brainwashing or coercion and things like that. So he had some grounding.
Some background, one might say, in the techniques that were being used. Is that where we're going?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not like casting shade here, because if the church works for you, great. But they were trying to, the different tactics that they're trained on, obviously. And my dad, I love my dad. He's like my hero. He's a very soft-spoken, kind, gentle person. And, he wouldn't be rude to people. And he just said, appreciate your company. It's fun to hang out. He's like, but just so you know, I'm very conversant in techniques of coercion, brainwashing, etc. And he just said, lads, this is not going to work on me. Okay?
I love that he was just upfront about
Yeah.
that.
He was just clear. He wasn't rude. He wasn't like, saying derogatory things about the church. He's just like, this is not for me. I know what you're doing. I understand these are the techniques. And again, not to suggest that missionaries are going out going, I'm here to brainwash, but they're, it's like a marketing job or a selling job. You're
Sure.
taught techniques.
Yes.
So he was like, happy to hang out. Please do not bring this up again. So I don't know, whatever they wrote in their little books that they had, just nobody ever asked him ever again.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
Yep.
I mean, it's not aggressive, but it's very direct and clear. I admire
Yes. Yeah. And he's just like, please stop. I'm not converting. I love this woman. It's cool if she goes. Let's move on.
that. Not for me.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So then as you were growing up, how did this work for you? So your mother was Mormon, your dad wasn't. Where were you in all this?
Well, I just hadn't even heard of the Mormons. So remembering again that I grew up in a place of like sectarian religious violence. I mean, you could say religious violence. That was a facet of it. So what really mattered where I lived is if you were Protestant or if you were Catholic.
Right.
And in some cases, it was a matter of survival. So my wee 7-year-old brain didn't go beyond that. I just knew Protestants. I just knew Catholics. I knew that our family was a bit wonky because we weren't really major churchgoers of any kind. And sometimes my mom let us go with the neighbors to Sunday school at the Presbyterian church. Sometimes we went to mass. Like,
Wow.
it just wasn't really a thing.
And just to be clear for our listeners, at this time in Belfast, when you say this is a matter of survival, people actually were losing their lives in this conflict, right?
Yeah, based on if they were a Protestant or a Catholic.
Right.
So, it was all interwoven into what school you went to. And even still, in America, if you meet somebody from, the north of Ireland, you're like, what school did you go to? But like, it's a question more than what school did you go to? It's like, let me ascertain your identity using my sixth sense that I developed, and you can tell by looking at the football shirt or soccer jersey, as the Americans would say. You can make a guess at somebody's religion. If you look at their jewelry, even, you can make a guess at their religion. So,
What about the type of whiskey they drink?
I'll have to ask my brother-in-law about that one. Maybe so. I don't know. I would say probably, yeah, if you're a Protestant, you probably drink Bushmills.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Did you have any situations where you felt like you were in danger or you had a close call?
Oh, yeah, always. I mean, I think
Always. Wow.
Every person, like if you asked anybody from, like, I'm not unique in that sense, but I mean, absolutely, in terms of the religion aspect. So the schools, if you went to public school, you were considered a Protestant. Then they had Catholic schools. Obviously, you were considered a Catholic. We had when I was a teenager, only 2 schools in all of the north of Ireland that were intentionally integrated.
Oh, wow.
So they were, think the South in America, like they wanted to bring Protestants, Catholics together to educate them. But usually if you had like a hippie parent, you went there because they were kind of hippie dippy. Like vibe.
Yeah, I get it.
Because not everybody's going to want their kids to actually be integrated and in community with people that are different. So I was a wee bit of a weirdo because I went to a Catholic kindergarten. Then I went to a state elementary, which I would have been considered Protestant. We had to sing God Save the Queen and, all that stuff. And then I went to an integrated high school because my mom was a wee bit of a hippy-dippy weirdo. And then I went to a Catholic high school.
Wow.
So nobody could tell what...
You got the whole buffet.
I did.
Like the whole sampler platter of schools in the north of Ireland. Wow.
And to your question, when I went to the integrated school, depending on where you were walking in the city, you would either receive a derogatory slur for a Catholic, and then you could be in another neighborhood and you'd receive a derogatory slur for a Protestant.
Oh, man.
Because
like
they're
on the same day, really?
Yeah. Oh, multiple times just walking down the same road as the neighborhoods changed.
Wow.
And so we recall that we had, as we described it, a lot of phlegm dripping from our ponytails because they would spit on you.
What?
Yes.
They
so
spit on you,
yes,
Claire?
yes.
Oh,
but
my God.
So we
That's
would
wild. I did not know that.
Literal chunks of like phlegm from your ponytail.
As a child,
As
they would spit
I
on
laugh.
you.
I'm like, oh, how we laughed. Yeah, but that's just the way it is. And, those are the more lighthearted aspects, obviously. I mean, some people would get beaten up because they were perceived to be one of the other. There was a street that we walked down to my Catholic high school where right before we walked to school one morning, a man was shot dead because he was presumed to be a Catholic. So, it's religion. It was such a different thing there. It's so loaded. So kind of when the Mormon thing came along, it was like, oh, I get to be other. So in a good way, because otherizing is obviously usually very bad.
Well, sure, but you got to sort of step outside this Catholic-Protestant divide.
Exactly.
Although are Mormons not considered Protestant? I mean, obviously they're not Church of England or whatever, Presbyterian or Anglican, but it's still kind of in the vein. It came out of Protestantism.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, when you look just culturally, people were very Protestant-oriented within the Mormon Church, which might sound absurd in the context of the United States, but there, when it's so linked with identity and whether you want to be a part of Britain and still remain in an occupied space, or if you would actually like to be free and self-govern, that's all connected with what religion you're perceived to be. So my experience was that when people who had been Catholic and converted to Mormonism actually weren't very welcomed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, you're one of them. There was a lot of othering in that regard within the Mormon Church.
Wow, that's really interesting. So they didn't really welcome a Catholic with open arms necessarily.
No, and I mean, that's not true of every case, because
Sure.
there are some people who were Catholic converted and did remain. But where I live particularly, and it could have just been the neighborhood, people said very absurd, rude things to people if they came from a Catholic background. So it was a little different than growing up in the Happy Valley.
I mean, just a little. Well, I didn't grow up in Happy Valley, but it's also quite different from growing up in the suburbs of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a wee bit different. So my mom decided to go back to the Mormon Church when I was 7.5 years old. So right in time for baptism.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did you think of that? Was that kind of a shock to your 7.5-year-old little self?
Honestly, they had a basketball standard in the gym, and I was delighted.
As they do.
So, yeah,
So even in Ireland, they have a basketball gym in the church. Interesting.
Here's a funny thing. Again, I'm going to draw on about 5 stories, but I will bring it back. If you walked into a Mormon church in Belfast in the north of Ireland, it's exactly like walking into a Mormon church in Bountiful, Utah. It's the same footprint. It's the same design. My former husband worked on designing Mormon temples too. That's maybe too. Well, we'll just leave it there. But
temples kind of have their own design, but like the church that you would go to every Sunday, the Ward House, it's actually quite interesting because here in Utah, sorry, I'm going to digress for just one little second.
We love digressions. Oh my God, I'm rubbing off on you. I love it.
You should see me teach. I'm all about the digressions. My students, if they realize that, they can exploit it to get,
they're like, keep talking.
Exactly, less material covered and on the exam. But the ward houses, some of the ward houses here in Utah are actually quite unique and quite pretty in some cases.
Oh, yes, so like the older buildings.
Yeah, there's houses, ward houses with like stained glass, really interesting architecture.
Yeah.
But as I understand it, sometime in, I believe, the 1970s, there was this move pushed out from the Central Mormon Church called correlation.
Ooh.
And that was what made every church that was built after that look the same. So there was a set of standards. So that's where like that kind of awful, depressing, beige-ish, like neutral, dank color palette comes from. And that's where that very like, same architecture, if you want to call it that, boring architecture comes from. So it makes sense that a church built in Ireland would look the same as one here, at least a later one. And it probably looked the same as the church that I attended in California.
Identical. I'm sure they had. And that's the interesting thing, and why I drew in like my ex-Mormon husband too, because no matter where in the world it was, it's like the same.
Right.
And not only do they look the same, and I'm glad you brought that correlation thing up, because I think I remember that now that you mentioned that word, but they would put in mechanisms that don't work in other countries.
Right.
So for example, like heating systems, we don't do forced air in Ireland. Like, we don't need AC. It's freezing, 100% of the time.
Well, maybe with global warming, you're going to need it. So maybe they're just ahead of the curve, Claire.
Maybe it was a prophecy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Irish will need AC at one point. But they would put in just these systems that just, they don't work, because they're taking a blueprint for a church here.
In Utah.
Yeah, that works here. Like, we need that pivot between cold air and hot air. And, we have radiators. Like, it's just so interesting to me. So I'm walking into this building that I haven't even heard of Mormons up until this point. My mom had actually never mentioned it. It's not like we were raised with Mormon values. My mom had a wee cigarette and, a glass of sherry on the odd occasion. So there was just no concept of Mormonism in my life. So I walk into this building and you're even just like, what is this? There's a basketball hoop what? There's a stage? Why do we need a stage? It's a church. I
For
don't
the road
understand.
shows.
Right? Yeah. And we did road shows.
You did road shows.
We
That's
did road
amazing.
shows.
Okay.
And so you're just, it was like a whole, like, am I in Disneyland? Like, that's almost what it felt like.
So
And
you were
again,
excited.
yes.
Amazing.
Because you're like, oh, this is American, you know, because a lot of people emigrated to America and you grow up with American TV, and all of a sudden I'm in this little microcosm of America
Wow.
amidst all that turmoil outside.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, cool. Mormons are cool. And they've got these hot boys that keep coming to our house.
Ooh,
So
I like
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So what about what you learned in church, like what you were taught, the doctrine? Did that resonate with you? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were you kind of neutral on it? Do you remember?
You know, I was 7 when the missionaries started to come around. So they used to have those, some people will remember this, they would bring a little slide projector and
Oh.
there'd be like beep and you would have to hit the button. So, you know, I was the youngest kid in my family, so they give the little button to me. And I just remember these like cheesy movies they'd show us. Like there was one about a man who worked in a cigarette factory and had this like big moral awakening and like left his job or something. And
Oh,
then
wow.
there was that one where like the mom dies and the kid comes home from school and it's all about eternal families. And so it was quite entertaining actually, because again, you know, these cute American boys came to your house with a slide projector and a movie projector, and they put up a big screen in your living room and like showed you movies. Like it was all very exciting.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
But I had like, they actually never mentioned Jesus or God, or I was just like, America. So yeah, I really didn't have like any concept of doctrine. I do remember my dad was concerned, just by virtue of the fact he's like, an 8-year-old can't make a decision to commit to something. And his attitude was, you know, if you commit to something, you should really commit to something. I support that, but I also support you being aware of what you're actually committing to, and I don't think you're old enough. So he was actually against me getting baptized, but of course I was like, but Dad, and you know,
Please.
yeah, and you know, me and my dad were very close. I was his favorite. Sorry, sisters.
Aw.
So
You were the baby.
I was the baby, and so he said yes. My sisters got baptized. They would have been like maybe 11 and 14 at the time. So yeah, I had no concept of really God or Heavenly Father. That was a new term.
Oh, Heavenly Father. Yeah.
That was a new term, because I just knew God, Jesus, Mary, and the Holy Ghost. Do they call it the ghost or the spirit?
Mormons call it the Holy Ghost, but
Oh, okay.
I would imagine that Catholics and Protestants might say Holy Spirit. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
I was getting those two confused because, yeah. So not really concept of that. The first sort of doctrine awakening that I had was actually when I was about 11 or 12 years old. And Ireland was not a very diverse country at the time, because obviously nobody wanted to be coming into the middle of that. So,
Yeah,
you
that'd
know.
be a hard sell to emigrate
Yes.
to Ireland in the middle of
Yes.
car bombs and shootings
Exactly.
and beatings and spitting on children.
Yes, it's like, you know, people were just not going to do that at the time. So, I grew up more with a sense of, are you Protestant, are you Catholic? It wasn't really rooted in race. I didn't really have a concept of, you know, the issues and injustice that I now know about because I live in the United States, but that just wasn't sort of really a factor of our being. But I found out about the policy of the priesthood and not giving priesthood to Black men.
Right.
And I was, as I say, about 11 or 12, and I was like, what?
So this, you would have found out about this after they had changed that policy, right? Because they changed it in 1978. But that
Yep.
was still a fairly recent thing.
Yes, so it was
Yeah.
like early 80s. And I was like, and my first thought was, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to tell my mom, because my mom was very, as I had mentioned, like a wee bit hippy dippy. She was quite involved in politics, but she was involved in like the peace, love, and unity politics, not the one side or the other. So she had like a sense of social justice.
Right.
So I knew that would not be good news for her.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I was
So
like,
was that weighing on you? Was that heavy?
yes. I was like, I'm going to have to tell my mom this like terrible news. And
That the church didn't allow black people to, or black men, we should say, because they still don't allow women
No
to have
women.
the priesthood.
Yeah.
But they didn't allow black men to have their special priesthood before 1978.
yeah. And, you know, as I say, I wasn't really raised with even concepts of God or anything like that, but I was raised with a sense of social justice, which is probably why I am now a humanities and international studies professor. It's definitely a factor, you know, like that was just always in my household.
Yeah.
And so I finally brought up the courage to tell my mom, and I was like, Mom, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I remember crying, like, this is terrible. They're not good people.
Did you think this would be a deal breaker for her?
Oh, yeah, I thought that was it. I
That
just
was
thought
it.
we'd never
You were
go
just
back.
going to leave the church after that. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because even as a young person, I did not feel good about being associated with something like that. It just felt so fundamentally wrong to my wee child soul.
Absolutely.
You know, and so, and she goes, oh, yeah. And I was like, wait, what? You knew?
Ooh.
and
Claire.
I'm not casting dispersions on my mother at all, because I, you know, maintain she had that social justice lens, but it's the church, because the answer she gave me right after just comes straight out of the church. She said, well, if you believe Joseph Smith is a prophet, it doesn't matter that it feels bad. And I was like, wait, what? And so that's just the line for the, you know, I asked that question every set of missionaries that came in. Every time the bishop talked to me, I'm like, please help me make sense of this thing. This thing doesn't make sense. And I got that rote answer. Well, if you believe Joseph Smith is a prophet, it just all falls into place.
Wow.
I'm like, it's not falling.
So it was your introduction to mental gymnastics, cognitive dissonance, those things that many Mormons experience before they become ex-Mormons.
Exactly. Even as a wee teen. So,
all right. So you put that on your shelf. I mean,
that in my
not
wee box.
completely, because you kept asking questions about it, but you continued to attend the church.
Yes, I will point out that I, as a teen, was not super thrilled about church, and
Fair.
I drank and I smoked weed and had the odd cigarette and the things that regular teens just do. And things with boys, and you know, I would do that, and then I would come to church and then feel ragingly guilty, like I was a terrible person. And I can remember Young Women's, which for the non-Mormons out there is the youth portion for the ladies from
age 12 to 18.
That's it. You get taught great skills like ironing and
we learned to put on makeup.
Ooh.
At one point.
Oh, well, you got to make yourself pretty for the lads, right? So I remember one time one of my teachers saying, if you do anything with a boy, anything, you are basically like the sons of perdition, which was a phrase they like to roll out. So basically like the devil himself.
Yeah, I remember that being taught to me as well, that, you know, the worst sin was denying the Holy Ghost and that the church was true.
Yeah.
The second worst sin was murder.
Yeah.
And then the third worst sin was premarital sex.
Yeah.
Or any other sexual activity that wasn't condoned. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like next to murder.
Next to
like,
murder.
can we just point that out?
Yeah, they use those words. It's literally next to murder.
Yeah. So again, your poor little hormonal teenage head that's like having feelings and wanting to explore is going, wait, what? Okay.
Like, I'm condemned. I'm the worst. I want to give your teenage self a hug, Claire.
I know.
It's hard. I know.
Yeah. Like the guilt and
I've been there.
Yeah. Like, you know, you were in that environment too.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're fighting against every thing you're feeling, and like, I am a freak, I am a sinner, I'm, you know.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah. So that was my teen experience. I wasn't like super into it. And actually, funny story. So the Mormon church sparked my love of basketball. And by the time I got to college, I played basketball at college, which you're all going to be so impressed right now when I say that. In Ireland, no, like it's not the same. It's just like the people that you hang out with and go to the students' union and have a beer with. And I mean, nobody comes to watch your games or anything, right? Like you're just fun. You're just playing some ball, you know?
We should play some ball.
We should. I love it.
I'm really bad at it.
Me too, but I love it.
Okay, well, we should.
Like I have honestly for like the past decade tried to find a pickup game for like 45-plus-year-old women in Utah. Haven't found it yet, but yeah, maybe we'll start one.
Search continues.
Yeah, the searching continues. So we had a lot of fun together. I had a lot of fun with more than one of my basketball coaches. I will add they were other students. There was no
okay, that's good.
predatory behavior happening. So, yeah, it was my social circle. I loved it. And my mom would house a BYU student. You know, they do the study abroad.
Yeah.
And then they'd send them over to examine the people of Ireland for a week, you know. And so they'd ask church members to, for free, bring a complete stranger into your home and give them an experience of Ireland, as you do of an evening. So my mum had this boy from Provo staying in our house, and so she'd just be like, take him somewhere. And I'm like, like he's a Mormon, because we went to bars, we went to clubs, because that's just what you did. The drinking age is 18, so you can go out. I didn't necessarily drink, but that was just our social life. So she's like, take him to the basketball. So I took him.
The basketball.
So I took him with me. He was all excited. And all my friends there were like, oh, Claire, you were. So Irish slang for being drunk is wrote off. And they were like, you were wrote off last night. You were so drunk. And I'm like, shh. Like,
Jesus,
this
no.
Mormon boy here. Like, just tone it down. And they kept going on and on and on. And I was like, oh no, my cover's blown. Like my wretched teen years, my cover's blown.
Hilarious.
So yeah, that was awkward. So that's how I wasn't like a super duper Mormon teenager.
Yeah, it sounds like you were kind of conflicted about it, maybe not living all of the principles that they would prefer you to live, as well as some doubts, at least regarding, the 1978 switcheroo.
Yeah.
So then what happened? Like, why didn't you just drift away from the church like a lot of people do in your situation?
So I think there were just a couple of events that sort of solidified me being in the church, one of which was like uncontrollable guilt for the things that I was doing. We joke and say Irish people have a lot of guilt. There's cultural differences. There's also the Catholic influence there of guilt as well. And then the Mormon guilt. Like, it's like, oh my God, my guilt complex is now the size of Texas.
You have the guilt trifecta.
I have the guilt trifecta.
It's the guilt trinity. It's
yes.
Three and yet
Look
one.
Look at that. Let's join that church. Yeah. So there's that aspect of it. I also have ADHD, which was not diagnosed too much later in life, but maybe that could be, I know there's stuff around rejection, sensitivity with ADHD and things like that. So like, I don't know if that's a factor in it, but I just had this guilt where I thought that if I didn't start being a really good Mormon, that really bad things would happen. And I think that maybe part of that was also linked to, sorry, this is like getting quite deep and heavy, like realizing some of these things, but with the unsafe world that I lived in because there was conflict. Right. And so you're like, okay, if I'm good, I'll be safe. I won't get hurt. My family won't get hurt. Like you're just struggling to make these connections.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I feel like, I don't know if you heard that explicitly in church, but I feel like that was some messaging that we did here as well, even though I grew up in an incredibly safe neighborhood and situation.
Yeah.
I can totally see how that would have resonated with you and why you would have latched onto that.
Yeah, like the idea of the protection, right? And
right,
yes.
Even the garments, which of course you wouldn't have been wearing at that time.
Yeah.
But if we have any, non-Mormon listeners that are not familiar, Mormons have special undergarments that they wear once they have been through the temple ceremony. I never wore them because I never went through the temple ceremony, but they have this idea that is taught in church that they will protect you from harm, not just spiritual harm, but actually literally physical harm.
Yeah, and that's a deep worm to burrow in somebody's head.
Yeah.
Because then obviously you're not going to take them off, right? Because you're going to feel like something
you're not
horrendous.
supposed to, right?
Yeah.
You're unprotected if you take them off.
Yeah. And again, if they work for you, that is great. I'm so happy for you. It's no shade on them, but it's so important to highlight how that actually can cause a lot of psychological distress.
Absolutely.
And when you're young, you don't really understand why. You just have this feeling. So I actually then, speaking of ADHD, just went all the way to the other side. And I completed about 4 years of seminary in like 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Because I felt like I had to complete it. Otherwise, the protection wouldn't be full,
Oh, my goodness.
So I couldn't just do a couple of weeks. Again, that's, the hyper-focus. I had to go all in. So I am trying to do my high school leaving exams and catch up on 4 years of seminary. We didn't have it like the school has it here. We just got the little folders and worksheets, and again, for the non-Mormons, it's basically religious instruction about your faith on a teen level.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I did 4 years of early morning seminary, and some of it was, they followed the book, and then some of my teachers went way off script and spent a year talking about how the apocalypse was going to go down, so that was fun.
Oh my God.
Anyway, that's a different topic.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to derail it.
That's
but
another episode.
So you worked through essentially 4 years of religious instruction in 6 months.
Yeah, I did, and it was a lot, but I got lots of positive reinforcement, so I was like, oh, this is good,
I'm
good.
on the right track.
Yay! And, obviously then, your leaders latch onto that. They're like, she's coming back. So there was a lot of, outreach from the Young Women's President and the bishop. So they would give me, little jobs because I function really well. If somebody gives me a job, I'm like, yes, I'm in. I'll do this job. And then they asked me to give, the talks in church. But it was funny because my sense of dress hadn't caught up with my new religious awakening. And so I would wear I was a big fan of 70s clothes. So I wore hot pants. So
I would like to see you in hot pants.
oh yeah, I've got some pictures. So I'd wear tights with hot pants over the top, glittery ones and everything, or very short, tight dresses.
Nice.
And so that is actually when I got my first awareness of body shaming or slut shaming. And I was told that I was distracting the bishopric when I gave my talk because my skirt was too short.
Okay, I'm sorry. And how old were you exactly?
17.
Okay, that is really messed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't care what you were wearing or if you were wearing anything at all. These grown men should not have had those thoughts and feelings, and if they did, they should keep them very solidly to themselves. That's completely inappropriate.
Yeah, but it was these group of men have been saying you need to stop dressing the way you are dressing. And, I am tall.
Yes.
I'm 5'10".
Yep.
But I've been 5'10" from I was 11. And so I was sort of this younger person. I don't know, 17's not like 17 now. I didn't have the awareness of beauty standards really, or, my legs, or which were apparently very distracting. I just was wearing a dress.
Well, they're long and beautiful legs, but regardless, I
Thanks,
maintain
Queen.
that middle-aged men should not have been looking at you like that.
Registering that my legs were great. So it was kind of weird because it was the awakening coming back, but also shame level 500, was starting to happen. Then I went to university, and even I actually shared this with my kids recently. Some of the books that we had to read, I was like, I feel so guilty. They're swearing and talking about sex in these books. Should I make a stand and maybe I could bear my testimony about it, kind of a thing. But
oh, you precious thing.
Yeah. So, but I read them, and I wasn't very vocal. I never was a testimony bearer because like on some level I wasn't feeling it,
It's kind of cringy.
Yeah.
To do that in, any situation other than surrounded by Mormons.
Yeah, and I didn't even do it surrounded by Mormons.
Yeah, it's kind of cringy there
Yeah.
too. I'm the same.
Yeah.
I didn't do that very often. Kind of only when coerced.
Yes, or prompted or instructed to
Yeah.
do so. So, and all the while that's all going on, my oldest sister emigrates to Salt Lake City.
Wow.
Yeah, so
She was the pioneer.
she was the literal pioneer.
Trailblazer.
Yes, she got a green card on the green card lottery,
Wow.
which is a
Lucky.
a legit program, by the way, in case somebody's like, what?
Oof.
Yes. She was documented people, calm down. So she got a green card on that, came to America, Salt Lake City. So that became my destination for my college summers, to come to America for the first time.
Wow. And were your sisters still Mormon at the time?
Oh,
or are they
very.
still?
Nobody is.
Nobody is. Okay.
Nobody is anymore. But at that time,
Okay,
yes.
They were. Very. Okay.
And the only people we knew in all of America was ex-missionaries from Salt Lake City.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this cute little lovely missionary couple, senior couple, so like old people that go on a mission after they're retired, had come to Ireland and they took her in. She lived in their basement for 6 months till
Wow.
she found a job and a roommate, and they were very kind,
Yeah, that's
wonderful,
kind of them.
wonderful people. And so I was very close to my sister, and so I started coming to Salt Lake City for the summer. And the second time I came, I got a J1 visa, and which allows like college students to come work for a summer in America and see us foreigners do things the right way, despite what the media will tell you. So,
Be careful, Claire. We don't want you shot in the street.
oof.
Sorry,
Yeah.
we're not going to go there for
Yes, for now. But the salty hose will be clear on where we stand if asked. So
Yes.
there is that. I'll get a little spicy, not even salty, when it comes to talking about my wee immigration story. So yeah, I came and I worked at ZZMI.
now. That's right. I remember. Yes, with your skirts that were still too short somehow.
Oh yeah,
We
'cause
talked about that in
we've
the
talked
first
about that.
episode. Yeah.
I have always been a whore. What can I say?
You've always been a hoe. Now you're a salty hoe.
I have I'm just leaning into my true identity that was gifted to me by the Mormon Church, actually.
I love it, yeah.
Because I got shamed for my legs from quite a young age, apparently.
How dare you have a body?
I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just so sorry for
Okay, so you came to Utah for the summers.
I
You had a
did.
J1 visa.
had a J1 visa,
You were working here.
working here, and the church was really fun here compared to Ireland. You're like, what the
Oh.
hell? Yeah, so
What made it more fun?
like young single adults.
Oh, okay. So like more people in your age group.
Yeah.
That's fun. Okay.
There was like 5 boys in Ireland.
Yeah,
You know
that
what I
makes
mean?
sense. It was small, right?
Yeah.
There weren't many people.
No,
Yeah.
very small. So it was like, oh my God, like, and they did activities and like
Fun. Dances?
dances,
Yeah.
like going to D's, like,
Oh, I remember D's.
so I think I fell in love with America,
It makes sense.
but I thought it was Mormons.
Also, no car bombing, or I assume people spitting on you.
Peaceful,
Yeah.
peaceful. So, I mean,
Love that.
it's a little different now, but back in the 90s, it was
Yeah,
a kind of a
very-
different place.
It was.
You know, and it was like what you saw on the TV.
Yeah.
So I think in my head, there was sort of some confusion there, you know. So I met a Mormon boy.
How old were you?
I was 20,
Oh, wow. That's right. So young.
the age of my youngest child now. And yeah, they had this going home party for me, and he sang songs to me with his friend in this like barbershop quartet style.
Wow.
Yes.
That's kind of
And-
hot.
Yeah, and then he was singing a song, and there was like a speaking part in it, and he announced to everybody that I was going to be his wife.
What?
Yes, and we had talked about it, but I didn't know he was going to do that night.
So you
And
were dating already?
We were dating.
Okay.
Yes, and we actually even had like a little ring.
Like a promise ring or
like-
an engagement ring?
Well, it was, you know, a whole other episode. I didn't at that time feel deserving of a very expensive diamond ring because I had received the message through dating that they're so expensive, and I didn't want to be a bother, so it was this pretty little amber ring from an antique store, but
Well,
it was
that's
beautiful,
lovely.
and my daughter wears it now. Like it's
yeah.
but it was a sort of minimizing.
Yes, you were making yourself small.
Yes.
Whereas, in fact, you deserve the world.
I was like, an $80 ring is great. I love it.
Oh.
So yeah.
My ring was very cheap as well, but
Yeah.
part of that was because I didn't want to wear a blood diamond.
That is actually exactly the same as myself when he bought me a diamond, and that ring went away for that very, very reason. So
Yeah.
I like that we are ethically aligned, my friend.
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, it's hard in this world to make purely ethical decisions
Yes.
because everything is contaminated, but
Yeah.
something as clear as that
Yes.
just seemed like
It's
you
a
know,
no-brainer.
You
Yeah.
can't. Anyway,
Exactly.
keep going.
Yeah, so
So he said that he announced to
he
everyone
announced to all our
that
Mormon friends
you would be his wife, and you had been dating for a summer, less than a summer?
a summer.
A summer. So a few months.
Terrible idea, really. I mean, it seems so romantical.
It does. Well,
And also-
does it? I mean, it is kind of the Mormon way, especially
Yes.
back then.
Yeah.
Because if you can't have sex before marriage, that does tend to result in short engagements.
Because you weirdly want to have sex.
Hormones are a hell of a drug.
What a terrible thing to want. Like,
Right.
ugh. Yeah.
Right, but you can't indulge because that
No.
is next to murder. So you have to get
Yes.
married first.
And then they'll stop you getting married in the temples. Then all your friends and family will know. So clean and pure, all the way. So I went back to Ireland to go back to school, and he was here, and we wrote long romantic letters.
Aw.
And, I sound so old. It was not like now. There was no phone calls because it was horrifically cost prohibitive.
Expensive, yes.
So we had probably one a month.
Mm-hmm.
My parents would get very upset about our phone bill. Sometimes I would run to the pay phone,
Yes.
like the phone boxes, and
Put
I
coins in?
Yes, like about £10 or
Oh my-
$10. Yeah,
£10.
just to be like, hello, I love
Oh,
you.
wow.
Yeah, very romantical. And so then the following April, I flew to Salt Lake City and we got married.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whirlwind.
Yeah, he did come in February to Ireland for a visit, so to meet the family and all that. So
Yeah.
the wedding was all planned. It was great, blah, blah, blah. Came to America, got married because it was the most efficient way visa-wise.
That makes sense.
Because he was coming back to Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
So, gosh, that's a whole other episode. So we did that. He came back to Ireland, and then we were like Mormon celebrities.
Oh, I bet.
I had a husband from Salt Lake City.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was that. I'm just going to do the Cliff Notes version. And obviously, we're going to revisit stuff in future episodes
Absolutely.
for both of us in terms of the stories. So we got married, came back, Salt Lake City Mormon celebrity. He was the bishop by the time he was 26 years old.
Oh, that's so young.
So young. So by that time, we had 2 children. He was the bishop, and we had just bought
Well, now you sound like a Utah. You bought in a house.
a bought in a house. We'd actually bought in our second house because that we had some good opportunities, which I like to remind my children's father of when he said we had a hard life starting out. We actually did not. We were buying our second house I was 25, he was 26. It was a beautiful neighborhood, but it was very run down. It was
Where
like,
was the neighborhood? Where was this house?
just outside of Belfast.
Okay.
It's a little town called Jordanstown. It has a university, so it's like a little village, really. It was a farming community that's a little bigger. It's grown up around the university.
Lovely.
We have a beach, a beautiful place to raise children. By this time, peace. We had the ceasefire. Things were different. And yeah, I walked my children to elementary school every day, looking at the fishing boats on the shore.
Oh,
I mean,
that's lovely.
it was
Sounds
it was,
idyllic.
It was very beautiful, and a lovely place to live, really. So he was the bishop. I was the bishop's wife then, just non-consensually. So had this unofficial calling, and then I get accepted into my PhD program.
Yay.
So I'm doing my PhD. I have 2 children. My husband's the bishop. He's in school. And of course, that takes priority. So it's like I have a dirty little secret. It's like I'm going off to be a stripper at night. So he comes
stripping or PhD. Yeah.
Terminal degree.
It's pretty much the same.
Either way, yeah. So he would come home from his bishop's meeting, and then I was thereby permitted to leave for my studies at 9 p.m. After raising 2 children all day. And
that sounds exhausting.
Yes.
Wow.
I also had some terrible part-time jobs to make ends meet because he was in school.
Like including being a church janitor.
I was the church janitor.
You know, you would have made more money as a stripper. Probably we should have done that instead of our PhDs.
I know.
Right?
We probably, be in a different spot for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting, like, you know, that Sliding Doors movie, like One Life.
Yeah, I love that movie, actually.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
There's stripper life and PhD life.
Yes, well, certainly no shade on our stripper friends
No.
or our sex workers.
Absolutely not.
I am sorry for the way that you are sometimes treated.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so you're doing your PhD at night.
Doing all that.
And his assignments, right? Were you typing his assignments?
Still typing his assignments while nursing with one child on a boob. Yeah. So just working away, just exhausted. I think I've had a dysregulated nervous system from approximately then. And
Probably since your first child was born, I would imagine.
I mean, because it's just chaos. It's like, and your job is to support the bishop and all that stuff. So fast forward through all those years, another child, PhD debacle situation, all this stuff, emigrate to America, various reasons, the dollar's in the toilet, we get 2.5 to every one of ours from Ireland, we make a 500% profit on this house that we sold. So like we had this very dreamy, privileged immigration situation. Kids were all American citizens born abroad, so they had their stuff. I just had to get mine. We come here. He walks right into this great job at an architecture firm. We buy a house with cash.
Amazing.
I was 33 years old, mortgage free, my little McMansion in suburban Utah, Davis County.
Davis County. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're there, and I'm like, oh my God, we're going to be so supported by the ward. I'm going to have all these friends, and it's going to be amazing, and blah, blah, blah.
I feel like you're foreshadowing right now, Claire. Okay.
Yes.
So did you have a lot of friends?
That would be a hard no. So the time, which is relevant, is 2007, and we moved to Layton. I have no concept of American politics, other than America's just a place everybody wants to live, and it's amazing. So go to the ward, some lovely people in the ward, people that I still know and love dearly, but they're just, it didn't feel the same. You know, I didn't feel like I had good mom friends, you know, like I had in Ireland. And I actually entered quite a depressive episode. I've been, you know, very lucky in terms of mental health, and I've, you know, no postpartum things or anything, but I for the first time took antidepressants because I felt so anchorless. And I was in this church that was supposed to be the same, but wasn't the same. And it was just sort of a giant jumble. And weirdly, like, you think you moved to Salt Lake City and you're going to be so solidified in your faith, like you're in the Mormon capital. And
right.
And it actually went the other way for me.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
It was the start of the end. And we would have these like lessons in Relief Society about how to prepare for a nuclear attack, and like,
oh right, like all the prepper stuff.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And there's like this cute old lady, and she's in going, so get towels and soak them and like put them around the perimeter of your home. And I'm just like, dear God,
like, what are we doing here?
What? And then like I'm like, oh, I have anxiety now. Like, you know,
Yes.
It was just like, what is this organization? I don't get it. So there's that. I'll just briefly describe sort of the main points of what contributed to the exit. So it's 2007, 2008 election.
Yes.
Who's up for president? And I just thought, who's this hot guy? And people in Ireland loved Barack Obama, right? Because he's Irish. So, or we claim him
There
at
you
least.
go. Yeah.
So,
I thought he was from Kenya. Hold on.
and Ireland. So he's
I'm
Irish. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fair point, but his mother's Irish. We
Right.
we actually have a Barack Obama gas station
Oh, how fun.
in Ireland.
I would
yeah.
like to visit that.
Yeah, so like when we
When we take our trip to Ireland, Claire.
yes, I will take you on a wee tour.
I love it.
So I put a sign in my yard because I was like, what? People can openly share their political affiliations and not die. I mean, clearly things are very different right now, but this
Yes.
was the early 2000s,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
And so I come from a place where my mom wanted to run for public office and we were like, no, we're going to get our windows broken. Like you're going to get shot.
Right,
Like you can't
yeah.
do it. So I was like,
You felt
the
free.
land of the free.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to put, because I like this guy. And if you had said, is he a Democrat or Republican? I would have been like,
What's
what
that?
now?
What's
yeah.
that?
What now? So, yeah, I did that. And the letters started.
Letters.
Letters.
Anonymous letters?
Yes.
Oh, no.
In the mail with a stamp.
Oh, my Lord. That is terrible.
Yeah. And in the letters, it said, this line always stuck out to me. Think about putting a Chicago gangster in capital letters, our White House. So,
Wow.
emphasizing you are an outsider, like, go back to your socialist land. That was
Our
also
White
mentioned
House, yes.
about me being a European socialist at one point too.
Oh, no.
And I was just so confused and scared because
Of course.
my name and address was like, you know how you'd see those scary movies and they cut things like out
Out of a
newspapers
magazine
and
or
like
something, yeah.
and like they didn't do that, but they printed it and stuck it on so you can identify their handwriting. So
Wow.
it was like scary.
That is scary.
I didn't feel very safe, and I actually called our local police department and they said, you know, you're actually not the first person to call like this, and there's nothing we can do unless they threaten your life or your property.
Wow.
I was
How
like,
many letters did you get?
3 in total.
Do you think they were all from the same person?
Yes, and I believe that they were a member of the state high council.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I knew who it was.
wow.
Yeah. So there was that, and then came Prop 8. Prop 8.
I remember that well.
So Prop 8 was the reason. And I remember vividly one night, everybody was in bed, all the kids were asleep, my husband was asleep, and I snuck off like I was going to do a dirty bad thing. And I watched a documentary about Prop 8, and my world exploded.
And just for all our listeners that might not remember Prop 8, I think I mentioned it as well. That was also, I was well out by then, but that
Yeah.
was the first time I sent in my resignation, my formal resignation to the church. So that was the constitutional proposition in California banning gay marriage, right?
Yep.
And tell us the connection to the Mormon church. Remind us of that.
Well, I was hearing in the ward that we were encouraged to donate money to block gay marriage. I heard that from people that had children in California that they were trying to get, specific demographics of people to lead the charge, so to speak, to battle this on behalf of God and the universe on earth,
Right.
And I was just like, what? Like, again, what came up for me when I found out about black men in the priesthood, that same feeling came back of just, this is like morally repugnant. It's not good. I don't like it. Everything in my body is telling me this is wrong, wrong, wrong. And at that point, because of just the way the documentary went, I just felt so betrayed by the Mormon church, by the leadership. I just felt like it was just all a lie. And, it just unraveled. And then you find out more things and you find out more things. And
Yeah.
you're just like, oh,
You go down the rabbit hole.
gosh, I can't. Like,
And it never ends.
that. And yeah, I couldn't do what my mom told me to do when I came to her as a teenager. There was no box big enough to hold that.
The shelf was broken.
The shelf was broken.
You can't fix it.
And I'm also in now this country that has this race element that I'd never before experienced. So I'm like, okay, like this box cannot, there's not a size of a box for that. That was it.
Did it bring back those feelings you had from when you were a teenager about the blacks in the priesthood
Definitely.
in 1978? Okay, so that sort of came rushing back as well.
Yep. And so here I was. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to tell my ex-bishop husband that I don't want to go to this church anymore. And, you know, my kids at different stages were very into it. My kids are hilarious. Like, one of them used to like change the time in the clock to try to make us miss church and stuff. So there was this.
I think I can guess which one that is.
I know. You would be right. And her beautiful wee soul. And so my children reminded me of this the other day because I was telling them this was our episode, and they said, you have to mention that like Starbucks chai fraps was the gateway drug, like to getting us out of the church. And they remembered this incident then where we'd gone to the drive-through, which, by the way, I would never ever purchase a Starbucks in the current climate.
That's fair, but these were different times.
Different times.
We're not judging.
Yes. So we went through the drive-through and made eye contact with an older couple in the ward who were sitting outside having a cup of coffee. And we had chai fraps, which we were kind of felt guilty, but in an exciting way about. So
those don't have coffee in them, though, do they? Or do they?
No, but it was black tea.
Oh, that's
so,
right. The tea. You can't do the tea either.
Can't do
I
the
forgot.
tea either. So yeah, and weirdly, my husband at the time was kind of on board too.
Oh, interesting. So you had this conversation with him.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it went pretty well.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like a decisive, I have sit down, I have something to tell you. I sort of started putting little things out there.
Okay.
Did you know about this?
Tested the waters a little bit.
Did you know about that? Did you know? And so it just sort of was this slow evolution. And then we actually left the neighborhood and moved to Salt Lake, which made things a hell of a lot easier.
I bet you didn't get any anonymous letters for putting an Obama sign in your yard there.
Did not get any anonymous letters. And they found us because they're good at that.
Yeah.
But like 2 house moves later, I think the trail was broken. So yeah, my kids never had a desire to go back. In fact, the complete opposite. I've been divorced for 10 years now, but my ex-husband is still out. Everybody is out. So wow. It was very interesting. I moved to Mormon headquarters and left the church.
Yep. I can relate. I did too, remember?
Yeah, because the blindfold comes off, you know?
And you just see it close up, right? And
yes.
There's no hiding it anymore, right? There's not like sort of the excuses and the special pleading and that's not really what the church teaches when you come to the epicenter and you realize, not only is that what they teach, but they're all in on it.
Yeah. And I mean, even just being from another country in Davis County was enough to have you not be accepted, even though you were within the tribe, so to speak, you know?
It's really interesting to me. I actually would have thought the opposite. I mean, given that you are, white and from Ireland, I imagine it would be quite different if you'd been like, brown and from Chile or something like that, right? But I would have thought they would have liked that and found it like kind of cute and exotic, but in a non-threatening way. But it sounds like that wasn't the case.
Well, you raise a good point, right? Because there is privilege of being a white European immigrant where half people's grannies come from, right? And so, oh my God, you're from Ireland,
People love their Irish ancestry here.
But
it wasn't so much that way.
You received those platitudes for sure, but then it's like, but ultimately you're different. And my poor little baby child who was in 5th grade, that's such a vulnerable age, and she went to school one day and somebody had treats for the birthday, like you do, you bring in the treats. She was not allowed to have any of the treats, and the girl came up and she said, honey, that might be how you do things in Ireland, but that's not how we do it here, about something that she had done in her schoolwork or something, and so there was a lot of that.
So even your kids were getting othered.
Yes. Yeah.
That's terrible.
And so, it's not to go like, wow, per us, but because, I know that people go through a lot worse.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I just thought, people would have found, like I said, that kind of cute and fun, and they would have glommed onto you instead of rejecting you. But
yeah. I mean, mostly what I heard is I got called a European socialist a lot, things like that, and it was just so confusing and bizarre to me, honestly. Like it it just was so bizarre. And I think seeing it on an organizational level and the way that sort of the church infiltrates state and government, and I didn't any longer want to be the group that was the source of harm to other people.
Yes.
And I think that's what tipped me out. And then I started to learn about doctrine stuff and the other questionable things, and finding out about, Joseph Smith did polygamy too. What? And,
and with 14-year-olds.
Yes. And, so it's like it just sort of unravels, and there just is like a point where you can't, I couldn't go back in good conscience.
I mean, it sounds like even Prop 8 in and of itself was a bright line for you.
Yeah.
And I really admire that about you. You have a very strong sense of what's right and what's wrong and what is harmful to people. And I'm in awe of you all the time.
Oh, I love you. Thank you. I love people.
I know.
Like, I genuinely just love people. I'm fascinated by their stories. I love them. I think even though there's a lot of really shitty humans right now, we haven't really swore a lot today. I feel like I just have to say, like, shit or fuck or something just to balance the universe.
Watch out, next episode. We're going to be on a rebound.
This was a more serious issue, but yeah, like I don't want to be part of that group that would make people feel shitty just because of their identity or
who they love.
I don't get it. I just don't. It's just, yeah.
You're a good soul. You're one of the best people I know.
Well, thank you. I'm all emotional now. Like, no. But I don't know. I like people, and there was just too much harm. I could not get past the harm. And that's
so you were just done.
Took me out. I was done. And then I saw all the other stuff that I honestly hadn't really concerned myself much with.
Yeah.
Like I say, my experience in the Mormon church, there wasn't a lot of talk about the big man upstairs or God. Sorry. It's like a very Irish way of referring to deity. I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, a very loving way. I am an agnostic right now. So, but I understand why people could believe and want to believe, and it feel very nice. And I respect that, whatever the religion. But it was so incongruent for me that if this God person really did live, he was like kind of mean. And I didn't, like, even now I feel like there's a bolt of lightning will strike me for saying that. And I'm not saying God is mean. I'm saying the version of God I was given was mean. And so if they do exist, not to get into a theological discussion here, they would be like my dad, who's nice and loves me and wants to protect me and
wouldn't break up families that already existed.
No.
Yeah.
And he loves my siblings just the same, and the community, and so that's my exit story.
Wow. That's an amazing story. I think that is pretty unique as ex-Mormons go. I feel like mine is more run of the mill, but being from Ireland and growing up in that situation and then coming to America, like, wow, that was a ride. And I knew some of that, but not all of it. That was really, really interesting to listen to, and I'm so glad you shared it with us.
Thank you. I'm having lots of feelings, like good for sharing, little melancholy, even some of the shame actually still does come back.
I bet.
That was a little over a decade ago, and
I mean, that's pretty strongly ingrained, so of course it makes sense you would still have some of that.
And I do, and I know that even if some Mormon people that still know me from home will have apoplexy when they hear me say this, but I say with confidence now that I am grateful to no longer be a member of the church. And again, that's no shade. I walked this morning with a dear friend that's a committed member, and I love her and respect her. She loves and respects me. Cool. Because I think often when you leave, you're slated as this bad person that wants to talk shit on the church. And but I just, it's not for me. And I'm relieved, and I am so grateful that my kids aren't in the church. I'm so grateful. And I'm so sorry to them for the more negative programming I put in their head. We actually do have a picture on our fridge right now for fun where it's my oldest two holding a contract that says, I will never swear, I will never drink, I will never take drugs. And so we put it up there to to be funny, not to minimize any of their religious
Oh,
trauma that they have.
That's amazing.
But we do have a wee giggle over that one. But I'm just so glad they have the freedom to love who they want to love, to experience life in all the beautiful, rich, incredible ways that you're led to believe are evil and terrible. The world is not evil and terrible. It is, well, it is, but it's also
But not in the way
not in the
that-
Mormon way
yeah.
that you're told. Unfortunately, because they actually don't highlight the really evil parts. They
Right.
present them as good. So, if anybody is in that in between space, it's beautiful on the other side.
It really is.
Yep.
It really is. And I'm sure you feel like your relationship with your children is much better than it would have been had you stayed. Your kids are amazing little
Thank
humans.
you.
You've raised them wonderfully.
Thank you.
So I think that, if you have any guilt remaining, like it sounds like you kind of do, maybe that's something to try and release back into the universe. I know it's hard,
Yeah.
but maybe let it go.
Yeah,
if you can.
Yes, working on it.
Yeah.
Working on it. So
We're all works in progress.
we are indeed, my friend. But thank you for creating the space and the questions and letting me go on my tangents. And
No, it was an honor to listen to your story. Thank you so much.
you're a wee gem.
All right. Well, friends, listeners, if you have any comments, please share them. We hope you enjoyed this. Don't worry. We will be back to our salty, salty selves next time. We'll catch you then. Goodbye.
See you then. Bye.